Welcome back to the channel, folks, where we dive into the wild, wonderful world of men transforming into women in all kinds of fascinating ways. If that's your vibe, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Now let's jump right into today's story.
Chapter 8, Moonlight Makeovers and Maybe, Forever. The Grand Marlowe was glowing. Not in the metaphorical, romantic lighting kind of way, though. The chandeliers had been dimmed to a golden shimmer, and the string quartet on the mezzanine was playing a version of Fly Me to the Moon that could melt hearts and possibly surt undergarments. No, the hotel was literally glowing. From the marble-floored lobby to the star-dappled rooftop, everything sparkled for the annual Marlowe Moonlight Gala, a black-tie charity event where VIPs mingled, champagne flowed like water, and secrets tended to slip out between sips of rosé and rooftop kisses. Crystal chandeliers dripped with light. Silver trays gleamed in white-gloved hands. Even the ancient elevator buttons seemed to shine with extra enthusiasm. It was the hotel's crown jewel event, a night when the Grand Marlowe shed its usual dignified elegance for something more glamorous, more extravagant, a peacock unfurling its feathers to remind everyone why it reigned supreme in the city's landscape of luxury accommodations. Jackie Monroe stood in front of the full-length mirror in room 713, staring at herself with an intensity that could have cracked the glass. The woman who stared back was a vision in midnight blue, a far cry from the confused bellhop who'd first woken up female less than a week ago. Tonight was her last chance. The mirror's magic would fade at midnight. After that, she would remain as she was, Jackie, in body and soul. Or she could return to Jake. To his old life, his old name, his old reflection. The thought sent a complicated wave of emotions through her, nostalgia mixed with something that felt suspiciously like relief. She turned sideways, studying her silhouette. The transformation that had initially horrified her now seemed right, somehow. The soft curve of her hips, the delicate slope of her shoulders, the graceful arch of her neck, all felt like they had always been meant to be this way, just waiting for the magic to reveal them. Mrs. Bellamy sat on the edge of the bed, threading pearls through her fingers like a rosary of luxury. Tonight, she wore a gown of shifting silver that seemed to capture and release light with every breath, making her look like a living constellation. Her white hair was piled atop her head in an elaborate style that defied both gravity and convention, with her ever-present canary nestled among diamond-tipped pins. "You look divine, darling," she purred, her violet eyes appraising Jackie with maternal pride. Jackie turned, the dress swirling around her legs. The gown was deep indigo, off the shoulder, hugging every inch of her like it had been sewn from moonlight and good intentions. The bodice was fitted, showcasing the dramatic curve of her waist before flaring slightly at the hips. A slit up the side revealed a tantalizing glimpse of leg with each step. Her hair was pinned in soft curls that framed her face like a Renaissance painting. Her makeup was flawless, smoky eyes that made the green of her irises pop like emeralds, lips stained the color of crushed berries. Her heels felt like weapons, 5 inches of silver stiletto that transformed her walk into a lethal sway. "I look like someone else," Jackie whispered, running her hands down the silky fabric, still marveling at how different her body felt beneath the luxurious material. "Like a movie star, or a model, or some fantasy version of femininity." Mrs. Bellamy shook her head, the movement causing light to dance across her silver gown. "You look like you, finally." She rose from the bed with surprising grace for a woman of her apparent years and approached Jackie, adjusting a curl with practiced precision. "The mirror doesn't create, dear heart. It reveals. This," she gestured to Jackie's transformed body, "was always within you. A potential, a possibility. The magic simply expedited the process." Jackie raised an eyebrow. "Expedited is one way to put it. Completely upended my entire existence is another." Mrs. Bellamy laughed, a sound like silver bells. "Semantics. The point is, tonight you stand at a crossroads." She gestured to the hand mirror, which sat on the dressing table, glowing faintly with inner light. "Choose wisely." Jackie stared at the mirror, which seemed to pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat. "What if I make the wrong choice?" Mrs. Bellamy's expression softened. "There is no wrong choice, only different paths. The question isn't which is right or wrong, but which feels most true. She patted Jackie's cheek with bejeweled fingers. Now, enough philosophy. You have a gala to attend and a certain hotel manager to thoroughly enchant. Jackie's heart skipped at the mention of Charlie. They'd spent the past week in a strange limbo, working together by day, exploring their newfound connection by night. Charlie had been surprisingly accepting of the bizarre situation, treating Jackie with a mixture of professional respect and personal fascination that left her dizzy with possibilities. What if she prefers Jake? Jackie asked, voicing the fear that had been growing as midnight approached. Mrs. Bellamy's eyes twinkled. That woman has eyes only for the person inside, whichever packaging they come in. Though I must say, she gave Jackie an appreciative once-over, the current packaging is particularly fetching. Jackie laughed despite her nerves. You're terrible. I'm honest, Mrs. Bellamy corrected. Now go, your audience awaits. Meanwhile, downstairs, Charlie Harrington had never looked more dangerous. Sleek black gown that clung to curves usually hidden beneath tailored business suits. Crimson lips that could deliver corporate death sentences or whispered promises with equal lethal precision. Hair pinned in a style that said, I don't need saving, I am the storm. She was scanning the ballroom from the top of the grand staircase, champagne in one hand, clipboard in the other, and murder in her eyes. The gala was in full swing, a sea of tuxedos and designer gowns swirling beneath crystal chandeliers. Mayor Prescott was holding court near the chocolate fountain, regaling donors with tales of infrastructure improvements that somehow became more impressive with each glass of champagne. The governor's wife was flirting shamelessly with the tennis instructor from the country club. A famous actor, in town filming something with explosions, was charming a circle of admirers near the string quartet. Everyone who was anyone in the city had turned out for the event, writing fat checks for the children's hospital while networking, gossiping, and engaging in the peculiar mating rituals of the upper class. Charlie noticed none of it. Her amber eyes continued to sweep the room with laser focus, searching for one particular face. Where is she? She muttered, tapping one perfectly manicured nail against her champagne flute. Tommy leaned against the wall nearby, wearing a tux that made him look like a bouncer from a Bond film. If that bouncer had spent the afternoon wrestling with an uncooperative bow tie and lost. He'd slicked back his usually unruly hair, and the effect was surprisingly sophisticated, though the gleam of mischief in his eyes remained unchanged. Relax, he said, snagging a canapé from a passing waiter. She'll be here. Dramatic entrances take time. Charlie turned to him, eyes narrowing. You've talked to her, today. Tommy nodded, mouth full of smoked salmon. Helped her zip up the dress. He managed around his mouthful, then caught Charlie's thunderous expression and hastily swallowed. Platonically, very platonically, like a brother would. If that brother was also her best friend who used to be a dude with her when she was a dude too, but now she's a hot female and I'm still just me. He trailed off, realizing he was digging himself deeper. Anyway, she looks amazing. You'll short-circuit when you see her. Charlie took a deep breath, smoothing non-existent wrinkles from her gown. Tonight's the night, isn't it? Tommy nodded, his expression turning serious. Magic wears off at midnight. After that, she stays or she goes. Charlie looked back at the crowd, a muscle working in her jaw. God, I hate magic. Says the woman who's fallen for a magically gender-swapped bellhop, Tommy pointed out with a grin. Charlie shot him a look that could have frozen hellfire. I'm not. It's not. We haven't discussed labels. Tommy laughed. Sure, boss, whatever you say. But that hickey you were covering with concealer this morning tells a different story. Charlie's hand flew to her neck and Tommy's grin widened. Gotcha, but now I know there was something to hide. You're fired, Charlie said without heat. You can't fire me, Tommy replied cheerfully. I know where all the bodies are buried, metaphorically speaking, mostly. Charlie sighed, but a smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. Go make yourself useful. Make sure the mayor doesn't fall into the chocolate fountain again. Tommy gave a mock salute and sauntered off, leaving Charlie alone with her thoughts and the growing knot of anxiety in her stomach. She'd spent her entire professional life in control, measuring risks, calculating outcomes, planning for contingencies. Magic didn't fit into her carefully ordered world. Neither did falling for someone who might literally be a different person tomorrow. And yet, here she was, heart pounding like a teenager's at the mere thought of seeing Jackie descend those stairs. The grand entrance. At exactly 9:17 p.m., Jackie descended the staircase. It wasn't a planned entrance. She just finally gathered the courage to leave room 713 and face the night that would determine her future. But sometimes, timing is everything. The string quartet had just begun a sweeping, romantic piece. The champagne tower had just been unveiled, sending a golden cascade of bubbles into crystal flutes. The moonlight streaming through the massive skylight hit the stairs at precisely the right angle to create a spotlight effect that Hollywood directors would kill for. And into this perfect storm of atmospheric elements stepped Jackie Monroe, a vision in midnight blue and silver, moving with the kind of grace that comes from finally being comfortable in one's skin. Conversations stopped. Glasses hovered midair. People turned, drawn by some collective instinct to witness something extraordinary. Charlie turned to and forgot how to breathe. She'd seen Jackie every day for the past week, had kissed those lips, touched that skin, whispered into that ear, but tonight was different. Tonight, Jackie wasn't just beautiful, she was transcendent, like something from a dream that had somehow stepped into reality. Jackie moved like a goddess in heels, her eyes locked on Charlie's with a fire that was part challenge, part confession. The dress clung to every curve, showcasing the dramatic transformation from Jake's angular frame to Jackie's lush femininity. Where Jake had been all sharp edges and awkward angles, Jackie was softness and dangerous curves, a landscape of sensuality that made looking away impossible. She smiled, and it was a smile Charlie knew from 1,000 coffee breaks and accidental brush-ups, slightly crooked, with a hint of self-deprecation. A smile that was uniquely Jake's, now transformed on Jackie's fuller lips but still recognizably, undeniably the same. But tonight, it was different. Tonight, it was hers. "You came," Charlie whispered as Jackie reached her, unable to keep the wonder from her voice. "I never left," Jackie replied, her voice low and intimate despite the crowded room. "Just changed the packaging." Her perfume, something with jasmine and vanilla, enveloped Charlie like a spell, making her dizzy with want and recognition. "You look," Charlie trailed off, words failing her. "Like I raided a movie star's closet," Jackie suggested with a hint of her old self-deprecating humor. "Or like someone poured me into this dress and forgot to leave room for breathing." Charlie shook her head, finding her voice. "Like yourself, but amplified, magnified, like someone turned up all your colors to maximum intensity." Jackie's eyes widened slightly at the unexpected poetry from the usually practical Charlie. "That's quite the compliment from someone who looks like sex on stilettos herself." Charlie felt heat rise to her cheeks, she who never blushed, who made others blush with a single raised eyebrow. "I clean up okay." "Better than okay," Jackie said, her gaze traveling the length of Charlie's black gown with unhurried appreciation. "You look like every fantasy I've ever had, plus a few I hadn't thought of yet." Then she slipped her arm through Charlie's, the simple contact sending electricity through both of them. "Shall we give them something to really talk about?" Charlie smiled, her earlier anxiety melting under the warmth of Jackie's touch. "Let's." And together they stepped into the crowd, a matched pair of dark and light, fire and ice, past and future, moving in perfect synchronicity as if they'd been practicing this dance their entire lives. Later under the stars. The rooftop was quieter. The party pulsed below, music and laughter floating up like bubbles in champagne. But up here, it was just the moon, the wind, and two women caught in the gravity of something too deep to name. The hotel's rooftop garden had been transformed for the gala, strung with thousands of tiny lights that mimicked the stars above. Potted topiaries created intimate alcoves between white-clothed high tables. A smaller bar served top-shelf liquor to guests seeking respite from the more boisterous atmosphere below. Charlie leaned on the railing, the city spread out before her like a carpet of jewels. The black of her dress melded with the night, making her appear almost ethereal, a collection of pale skin, blonde hair, and red lips floating in darkness. "So, what happens at midnight?" she asked, breaking the comfortable silence that had settled between them. Jackie joined her at the railing, their shoulders brushing. The contact, even through layers of expensive fabric, sent sparks across her skin, another reminder of how differently this body responded to touch. I either stay like this, forever, or I go back to being Jake. The words hung in the night air, weighted with possibility and finality. After a week of extraordinary changes, incredible discoveries, and unprecedented connections, it all came down to this, a single choice that would determine the rest of her life. Charlie was quiet, her expression thoughtful as she gazed at the city lights. Do you want to go back? It was the question Jackie had been asking herself every minute since discovering the mirror's deadline. The question that had kept her awake at night, staring at the ceiling, cataloging the differences between her old life and new. Jackie hesitated, tracing the rim of her champagne glass with one perfectly manicured finger. I don't know, Jake was safe, familiar, but I was always hiding. She thought of Jake's life, the comfortable invisibility, the quiet routine, the safety of low expectations. No one had ever looked at Jake the way they looked at Jackie. No one had ever expected greatness or beauty or passion. Hiding from what? Charlie asked softly. Jackie looked at her hands, so different now, slender, elegant, with oval nails painted a subtle silver to match her accessories. From myself, mostly, from what I wanted, who I wanted. It was easier to blend into the background than to risk rejection. Charlie turned to her, the moonlight catching in her hair like a halo. And now. Jackie took a deep breath, the cool night air filling her lungs. Now I feel seen, and not just by you, by me. I look in the mirror and I recognize myself, which is ironic considering I'm in a completely different body. She laughed softly, the sound carried away by the gentle breeze. I spent years feeling like I was watching my life from the outside. Now I'm finally in it, living it, wanting things and going after them instead of just wishing from a distance. Charlie reached out, took her hand. The simple gesture felt more intimate than their most passionate kisses. Then don't go back. Jackie looked up, caught by the unexpected directness of Charlie's statement. Charlie's voice was firm, her amber eyes intense in the moonlight. You don't have to be Jake to be real. You're real now, you're you, and I love you like this. Not because you're beautiful though, let's be honest, damn but because you're finally free. Jackie's throat tightened, emotion making it hard to speak. You love me. Charlie smiled, the expression transforming her usually composed features into something radiant. Since before the mirror, I just didn't know it yet. She shook her head, a hint of wonder in her voice. All those little things Jake did, the coffee that appeared just when I needed it, the problems solved before I even mentioned them, I noticed. I just didn't connect them to feelings, to care. I saw the actions but missed the person behind them. She stepped closer, her perfume mingling with Jackie's in the night air. The mirror didn't just change you. It changed how I see. It made me look closer, pay attention. And what I found was someone who's been there all along, just waiting to be discovered. Jackie stepped closer, drawn by the gravity of Charlie's words, her presence. Then I guess I've made my choice. Charlie's eyes searched hers. You sure, this is forever we're talking about? Jackie smiled, certainty settling over her like a comfortable cloak. Some choices are easy when you've spent a lifetime waiting to make them. She glanced at her watch, an elegant silver piece that had replaced Jake's chunky sports model. Besides, we have approximately 43 minutes until midnight. I can think of better ways to spend them than second-guessing myself. Charlie raised an eyebrow, a slow smile spreading across her face. Such as. Jackie leaned in, close enough to feel Charlie's breath on her lips. Dancing, champagne, and if we're very lucky, finding a secluded corner where I can show you exactly how certain I am about this decision. Charlie laughed, the sound pure joy. You're terrible. I'm efficient, Jackie corrected, echoing Mrs. Bellamy's earlier words. And very, very sure. Midnight. The mirror shimmered one last time in room 713. The clock on the nightstand ticked over to 12:00 a.m. For a moment, the silver frame glowed with ethereal blue light, pulsing like a heartbeat. The female figure forming the handle seemed to shift slightly, as if drawing a breath. And then it stilled. The silver dulled to a normal metallic sheen. The blue light faded. The magic receded like an outgoing tide, leaving behind only a beautiful but ordinary antique mirror. Jackie Monroe remained. Not in the room. She was currently pressed against a wall in the hotel's historic library, Charlie's lips on her neck, hands tangled in each other's hair, both of their carefully styled updos now delightfully disheveled. But elsewhere in the city, in driver's licenses and social security records, in memories and futures, in all the places that matter, Jackie Monroe took root, becoming real in every sense that mattered. Jake faded, not into nothingness, but into the foundation of who Jackie was. The core remained, while the exterior finally matched the interior. 1 week later, the hotel buzzed with gossip about the gala, but no one could stop talking about her, the mysterious, stunning bellhop-turned-goddess, who now worked behind the concierge desk with a name tag that read Jackie Monroe and a smile that could launch ships. "I heard she's related to Marilyn Monroe," whispered one of the housekeeping staff as Jackie walked by, carrying a stack of VIP welcome packets. No, she's a former model who left the industry after a scandal with a Saudi prince," countered a bellhop. "You're both wrong," Sophia from housekeeping said with an eye roll. "She's clearly a secret agent gathering intelligence for a government operation." Jackie just smiled, letting the rumors swirl. The truth was far less believable than any of their theories. Charlie and Jackie kept things professional in public. No stolen kisses by the coffee machine, no lingering touches during staff meetings, no giveaway glances across the lobby. But everyone knew. The way they looked at each other, it wasn't subtle. It was like watching two planets locked in orbit, aware of nothing but each other's gravity. The staff had a betting pool on when they'd finally give up the pretense and move in together. Mrs. Bellamy checked out on a Tuesday morning, her usual trunks and hat boxes piled high on a luggage cart pushed by a sweating bellhop. She left with a wink and a note for Jackie, sealed with wax pressed with an ancient signet ring. Jackie opened it in the privacy of the staff break room, Charlie reading over her shoulder. "Sometimes, the best version of yourself is the one you never expected to become. Stay fabulous, stay true, and for heaven's sake, don't forget to moisturize. AB. P.S. The mirror has been relocated for safekeeping. The next person who needs it will find it, just as you did. Magic has a way of finding its mark." Charlie snorted. "Moisturize? That's her grand wisdom after completely transforming your entire existence." Jackie laughed, folding the note carefully. "To be fair, I have noticed my skin gets much drier now. The decrease in testosterone affects oil production." Charlie stared at her. "How do you know that?" "Google," Jackie replied with a shrug. "I've been researching. Apparently, I'm experiencing a crash course in female biology that most people get spread out over puberty." Charlie shook her head, amazement in her eyes. "You're incredible, you know that? Most people would be having a complete breakdown after what you've been through." Jackie smiled, tucking the note into her pocket. "Who says I'm not? I just hide it well. Plus, the perks have been pretty fantastic." She gave Charlie a significant look that made the other woman blush. "Speaking of perks," Charlie said, glancing at her watch, "I have a surprise for you later." "What kind of surprise?" Jackie asked, intrigued. Charlie's smile was pure wickedness. "The kind that involves that thing you mentioned wanting to try, the one that made even Tommy blush when you described it." Jackie's eyes widened. "Really? But I thought you said it was." "Logistically challenging? It is, but I've been doing some research of my own." Charlie leaned in, whispering something in Jackie's ear that made her blush from her décolletage to her hairline. "You're terrible," Jackie managed, her voice suddenly husky. "I'm efficient," Charlie replied with a wink. "See you after work, don't be late." Tommy found the mirror 3 days later, locked in a storage closet with a new tag. "Do not touch unless you want your entire identity questioned and/or improved." He stared at it for a long time, studying his reflection in the polished silver surface. The face that looked back was familiar, sandy hair perpetually in need of a cut, eyes crinkled at the corners from laughing too much, the beginnings of a beard he could never quite commit to. What would the mirror show him, if he touched it? What version of Tommy Brooks was waiting to be revealed? He reached out, fingers hovering just inches from the ornate silver handle. Smiled, and walked away. Some mysteries were better left unsolved. Besides, he had a feeling that if the mirror had something to show him, it would find him when the time was right. That seemed to be how magic worked at the Grand Marlowe Hotel, appearing exactly when needed, changing lives with a single touch, then retreating back into legend until the next person came along who needed to see themselves clearly at last. And in the meantime, he had rooms to fix, keycards to program, and a new betting pool to manage on when Charlie would finally propose. His money was on Christmas Eve, but Sophia was convinced it would be at next year's gala. Magic might be unpredictable, but love, that was even more mysterious.